Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the 1024 podcast. Today we're going to be talking about dating and what that looks like in the realm of relationships. We appreciate y'all tuning in today, and we hope that y'all stay with us on this ride.
Yeah, so last time first of all, we want to start out with dogs win, okay? Dogs win. They're all is good in the Gaddis household, okay? There's no depression to be had now that the dogs have won in glorious fashion. We had a little scare in the last, 5 minutes of the ball game, but dogs pulled it out. My father's happy, so we're good to go at the Gaddis household.
No heart attack from Andy this week?
No heart attack from Andy. He it was all whoop whoops in the Gaddis household. It wasn't any, no tears were shed now for the dogs. So we're good to go there. Florida Seminoles. How about that? What did they do?
Florida State absolutely demolished Miami, as is usual nowadays. 45-3 I think was the final score. Jordan Travis looks like a Heisman candidate. So, pretty much the best team in football is all I got to say.
Hey, there you go. Hey, look. Also, big news: LSU beat Alabama. Alabama's second loss. That's big.
That was a great game.
Two regular season losses for Nick Saban for the first time in what feels like forever. It's a beautiful thing to see. I will say,
it's great.
Over here in the Schmid house, my wife's a little tore up. Clemson did lose to Notre Dame. That was kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, but that was a good game too, though. That was a blowout, dude.
For the rest of us, we're glad that Clemson got taken down a peg. That's all I got to say.
I think the LSU game was the best game on.
Oh yeah,
that was a great game.
Oh yeah,
I watched every second of it. Was screaming like a little girl.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, dude. I didn't figure it would be that good.
It was such a good game.
I know. I didn't watch it. I'm kicking myself for it too.
There were too many good games at that 7 to 7:30 slot, man. I was bouncing between Clemson and Notre Dame and FSU and Miami and.
Notre Dame, yeah, they.
Yeah, it beat Clemson. Yeah, John's Sarah Kate, John's wife, is a big Clemson fan. That was her alma mater. So
I bet that was hard to watch the LSU game. Then you're like, tune into that.
I kept trying to switch back and forth, and it was just a whole thing, man. But
yeah,
we went to Dollywood this weekend though, so that was cool.
Oh shoot, yeah! How was that? Dude. Dollywood, I hear, is almost as big as like Disney World or Six Flags.
Yeah, we got some friends that's all. They won't go anywhere else.
Dude, Dollywood's popping, man. You got to go in, get you some cinnamon bread. Shout out the Grist Mill. Shout out Dolly Parton, my homie. Place is popping, man. I'm an annual pass holder to Dollywood now, so that's kind of rowdy.
Really? Hey. See, in my mind, I've always envisioned Dollywood as like the redneck Disney World.
It's like an old school,
dude,
really old ride.
It has some pretty legit thrill rides. There was one ride we went on. I wasn't able to breathe the whole time we were on it. Like I kept trying to breathe, and then
just because of the G's or whatever.
Yeah, man. Like I couldn't lift my head forward. There was one point where I was looking down the shirt of the dude in front of me, and I thought I was about to pee myself, and it was intense.
Dude, okay, I will say one, just a shameless plug, I guess, for so Universal Studios is the new Jurassic Park ride that they have.
Velocicoaster is hype.
Yes, dude. It's like I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, we're like pulling 6 Gs right out of the gate, dude. Like it's like
you go like 71 dude. Miles an hour the entire time. You're flying. Yeah. That ride's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, it's awesome. But anyways, the topic that we have today that we wanted to get into a little bit, because it's if you're in my stage of life, it's pretty much the most relevant thing. I mean, besides obviously the Lord is dating. It's a big struggling point for a lot of people. It's a lot of people's focus, and like I said, in my stage of life, really being a 23-year-old, you have two groups of people. Really, it's you have the really immature people that are still, coming out of college and, still want to, go out and party and, be out with friends and be late nights. And you have people that are ready to settle down and start a family.
And Drew's been ready to settle down since he was about 14.
Yeah, no, I'll say this, people will disagree, but there is nothing, not a daggone thing good that happens after midnight. If I'm up past midnight, there is something that has gone incorrect. Something has the wheels have fallen off in the Gaddis household because I am an unpleasant person past midnight. I really am.
You're an
I get
unpleasant person
cranky.
past 4 p.m.
Well, I mean that's not true. That's not incorrect. I have to have my 2 p.m. nap. Now it's like my internal clock is going, trying to get me to go to sleep now as I'm waking up. Like I don't really even wake up early anymore. I used to, like when I used to work at another station, I had to get up super duper early. But now I don't even get up. Like, I mean, I get up at 5 o'clock, which is, I mean, there's lots of people that get up a lot earlier than that. So I don't even have an excuse anymore. I'm just tired and
Yeah.
old.
Little do you know that once you get married and have kids, you no longer sleep. You don't get much sleep.
See, maybe that's why the Lord hasn't allowed me to be married and have kids yet, because He knows that I'm just not ready to deal with that
You'll
yet.
get up a lot after midnight.
Yeah,
for sure.
that's not. Yeah, I just can't do it, man. But anyways, we wanted to just talk about dating, get into it a little bit, some of our past experiences, and what has helped
Yeah,
us.
both
and,
positive and
these two
negative
guys are-
experiences.
Yes.
And it sounds like, John, that's what you just did. Did you take your wife to the Dollywood?
Yeah, man. So
Kind of a date
we
thing?
we like to do every couple months or so, like a weekend away, and whether that weekend away is going and seeing my family in Georgia, or whether it's like going to Dollywood or whatever, like just break up the norm and be intentional with it, because I feel like
Spend time
yeah,
together?
so often you can get caught up in the mundane and in the routine of things. And so we went with our best friends. They're another married couple. It's actually Sarah Kate's college roommate and her husband. So we went up with them to Dollywood, man. We left Sunday morning. Got up there, did a whole day at the park, spent the night at a hotel up there, and then just shopped around and came back like yesterday and was back in bed before 10 o'clock. It was a good time.
There you go. So you went with the college friend.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool thing to talk about, because a lot of times when people are single and they have that friend group, that tight friend group in college, what happens is somebody gets married and then they just disappear, it seems
Yeah.
like. And then slowly everyone gets married and disappears, and it's just you. And you're like, whoa, what's going on here?
and that is currently my situation.
And you feel that pressure. You feel that pressure, like, I need to get married. I need to.
Yes.
Like, everyone's married and having kids or starting a life. I'm getting left behind. You
Yes.
ever feel that, Gaddis?
Well, that's you just hit the nail on the head, dude. Because that's where I am. Because I've touched on this for a couple podcasts now that we've done. Is that for our friend group growing up, I was the youngest, and like intentionally I made myself the youngest, and so because of that, like 3 or 4 of us now have gotten married, like, and now one of us is having kids, which is a whole nother thing.
Oh,
to
another thing.
him being a father, and them working through that and all that. But especially now, like, it hits home with John, because like growing up, John was my best friend, and we always did everything together. And,
Yeah, as you said, you went to the gas station with him, get gas and things like that. So I bet it was pretty different. Let's talk about that. How was it whenever John got married, and you're no longer saying like, "Hey, John, what's up, man?" Him coming over.
yeah, and it's even more difficult for our friendship. We have to find other ways to communicate or whatever, because he now lives in South Carolina, and I live where we grew up in Georgia. So when he got married, he moved over to South Carolina to be with his wife's family. So it's he's still one of my best friends in the whole wide world, but it's tough for us to get together or whatever. Just when he comes back into town, we'll try to do something. But it's it kind of left me feeling on an island until I really met you, Rusty, because something that also about me is that I don't really make friends well. Like I've been the type of person that has 4 really good friends, but really no other friends. Like I have a bunch of acquaintances, but I don't really get close to a bunch of people. Like some people like are just true extroverts and like will have like 4,000 friends that they go out every night, but that's just not me. I didn't.
You're not talking to somebody at the grocery store for an hour.
No, absolutely not. I intentionally make sure that I don't talk to anybody at the grocery store to make sure that
Drew hits Kroger up at 9:30 in the morning, so it's him and the Blue Hairs, and
it's actually Publix
Oh.
now, and it's 7:30.
Oh, he likes the public. Dude.
I love the Publix, man. You have to find the deals.
hey,
at the
Wednesday
Publix.
night
deals.
sushi at Publix. Shout out $5 sushi at the Publix.
Absolutely not. That's almost like gas station.
Nah,
sushi.
man,
You
you're missing
can't do
out.
that.
You're missing out. No, I'll say this though,
That's-
kind of on the other end of that situation, it was isolating for me too, dating somebody in a different state, and I mean, Rusty, I think you can attest to this. It's like I dated a whole, um, I don't want to say plethora because that makes it sound like I just dated everybody, but I dated like 5 or 6 people through college, sporadically. And the first date that I went on with Sarah Kate, it was like something was different. It went from like dating other people before and being like, I could see myself marrying this person, to dating like my first date with Sarah Kate is like, I already like feel the inkling of wanting to marry this person. And I think that was intimidating for me because it was like, she's from a different state. She'll pull me away from what I've known my whole life. And then certainly getting married and moving away, it was like, I don't have Drew. I don't have my other guy friends. Like I don't have this community that I built up over the years. But
Just me and
yeah,
you. That's a scary thing.
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's, I don't want to say I've dated a plethora of people because that just sounds like, we're
Everybody's always, you meet somebody, you become friends, and then you go on dates, and it's not like, we're not saying it like the world would think about it, like, oh, I slept with a
Yeah.
lot of people, which is kind of the notion people get when you think about dating, because people have dating all wrong. That's why we're here to talk about this.
Yeah, we wanted to just speak some light into that and like to
It's
hear
not
it from-
about that. Dating is literally you're getting to know someone with the end goal of saying, I'm going to marry you.
Yes,
And that's why it's such an important thing to make sure you have those values set out in front, right from the beginning, the very start of your relationship, is saying, hey, this is who I am. I'm a Christian, and this is what I believe. And I've talked to you personally at the station in different places, and you've told me that's kind of what you've done with this new relationship. And hopefully, it works out. I don't want to predict the future, but maybe something like that in the future. Maybe there's a marriage.
Yeah, and it's something I want to talk about too. Is just as a fresh new, really this is the first attempt at a relationship that I've had since I've tried to recommit my life to the Lord and not doing some of the old mistakes that I was having, and so it's a whole new set of struggles that come with that. But really, what I have seen that has made the biggest difference so far, it's a very fresh relationship. So it's obviously we're keeping it light and just trying to see where it goes,
Get
how
to
it
know
goes.
each other.
Yeah, just get to know each other. But it's been a very big important of being truly equally yoked, and I never really understood that until, like I said, I met this girl because as we've spoken to before, there's a difference between a churchgoer and a Christian, which I was for many years being a churchgoer. I knew right from wrong, but I didn't really, put too much account to it. Like in my relationships, it was still, sexually focused, and we're going out and partying, and that was the whole thing. Very much to what the world
God
does.
wasn't first in your relationship.
No. And I've 100% come to the conclusion, and the Lord has shown me that, anything, no matter relationships, work, anything, if it's not Christ-centered, it's just
So
not
how
gonna
is that?
stand.
How is this new relationship different from previous relationships with God being the focus, God being center, and with not doing those things you used to do because now God is the focus? How is
Yeah.
it different?
Yeah, for me, or for, I've talked about this, my hot dog, as we've all said before, is sex. Like and unfortunately I made a mistake younger, and that mistake just kept compounding for many years in my life. Just you know being sexually immoral. I mean, is what it is.
It's easy to get caught up in that, and it's easy to
Yeah.
stay caught up in that after you've already done that.
Yes,
It's a hard thing to avoid, especially after you've already tasted
Yeah.
something
yes.
like
That's what I want to say is if you hear nothing, I'm not a wise dude. I'm still very young. I'm still very figuring out. But one thing I have definitely learned is that if you hear nothing else from me, is please, like, if you're a dude still dating and you're still still virgin, still pure, like, please stay that way, because like you hear it from all your parents and everybody older, you don't need to have sex, like you're just waiting for marriage, and it gets old, like, from people. I understand, because I was the same way, like, I was like, it doesn't really matter, like, but that's how the devil gets you, is you just he talks little words, like little sweet words into your ear. But now now trying to be pure and putting our our relationship into a God-centered relationship, it's difficult, man, because like it's I've tasted that
You got to have
whatever.
boundaries.
Yes.
Well-
And that's for the big, like what you're saying for the big, what's at least different now that I've seen that it hasn't been in a lot of my other relationships that I've had in the past couple of years is a clear set rule of of boundaries and someone that is willing to stand firm on those
Yeah.
boundaries as well. Like not just because we all say or at least in my experience, all the relationships I've had are we'll check the boxes. Yeah, I'm a Christian. Yeah, okay, box check. Yeah, I want to wait till marriage. Okay, box check. Yeah, I don't really drink. Yeah, box check. But it's different between checking the boxes and actually when the rubber meets the road. Like
Living it out.
yes, like okay, now you're actually alone watching a movie, and now you have the opportunity to
Yeah.
to cross that line. Like, are you going to like what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
and like if you're weak, is your partner going to say, okay, I am being
Yeah.
firm, like we're done here, like
Right.
what I'm saying, like
And I think that's really important. You realize that God's word holds more weight and more value to you than anything else. So you look at that and you say, well, God says not to do this, and there's a reason for that. That marriage is where sex and all those things should be taking place, right? It shouldn't be taking place out of that for a reason. And you've noticed before, I'm sure, as I have in past relationships that were sexually involved that weren't in a marriage, all the stuff that comes with that, all that insecurity, all the just the bitterness towards each other, all these little things start sprouting up in the relationship, and it becomes tainted and poisoned. But yet inside my marriage, as a married man now, I've learned that sex is the most beautiful, amazing thing, and none of those things exist inside of our marriage because we're now doing it the way God designed it. And
yes.
it's so much more amazing when you wait and do it in that way. And the only way I know that is because I didn't. I messed up as you were talking about.
Yeah.
I lived the way the world says we should live, which a lot of times seems like it's more fun and more thrilling, but it really just causes more
I think the
problems.
tricky
Yeah.
thing with it
And
too is like, you have all of the extra guilt and the extra shame or whatever the other words you want to throw at it are coming into your marriage. Like, at least I experienced that, bringing in mistakes and shame and the consequences of sexual immorality prior to my marriage with my wife, bringing that in and having to tell her, like, I'm not a virgin. Like, you are not the first person that I've had sex with, and the feelings and knowing the consequence then of actions where when I committed those actions, I didn't understand the gravity of the consequences, but looking back on it, it's like, oh, that's the reason for this. Like, that's why the Bible, like, that's why God is so stern on sex outside of marriage, because he designed it for this, and the consequences of it outside of this context are massive.
Yeah, and isn't it crazy how society tells us like, oh no, don't listen to that. God's just trying to steal your fun, your joy, but like God's the creator of it.
Yeah.
So if I was, Steve Jobs and I invented the iPhone and I've said this is what the iPhone does, right? And you do the opposite, what happens? You can't turn it in on a warranty and get it replaced because he said no, it's at least they probably are now, but the original iPhones weren't waterproof. And he says don't go swimming with your iPhone, and you did. When they take it apart, they would see those little things that would show that it's been wet, and they say, sorry, this has been water damage. We can't replace it. You could argue all day long, and they're not going to replace it. They were the creator. They said it doesn't last in the water. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you could do about that. He's the creator. And so the creator of sex, the thing that we try to step out and enjoy as we're single, says it's not right. It's not going to work out. You're not going to have the full intent. You're not going to be able to use this product to the full capacity of how I created it. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and in literally in the Bible, and I forget. Of course, this is going to be my theme, I guess, on this podcast is
The
saying
forget-
Bible verses that I have no idea where they're
The forgetful
from.
quoter.
Yes, the forgetful quoter is, it literally says that sexual immorality is the only sin that it's of inside the body. Everything else is
Against the body.
against the body, but
Sex is against the body, yeah.
yeah, sex is like an inward sin, and it's because like it affects, like for me at least, I knowing firsthand, it affects every bit of that relationship that you're trying to have, like
First
Rusty
Corinthians
said,
6:18.
anyway.
There you go.
I guess my
Corinthians
job will be
6:18.
to
Okay,
find
read it.
the address for the verses that Drew quotes.
Yeah. Well, Well, read it then for us so we know exactly what it says.
Flee from sexual immorality. Every sin, whatever if a man might do, is outside the body, but the one sinning sexually sins against their own body.
Yeah, it's there's a reason that the Bible says that is because and over and over in the Bible, like, it brings up sexual immorality a bunch, because like even in Paul's letters to the Corinthians, like he was saying, like, into the Gentiles, like he was saying, look, brothers, like, flee from everything that's sexual immorality, because the Holy Spirit knows that how poisonous it can be, and like I said, it has been in my life, and in my relationships. So that's it, being equally yoked. Going to bring it all full circle is I never truly understood it until I was trying to be here again, because like like you said, there's the difference between churchgoers and Christians. Like, to find somebody that is truly trying to walk with God versus that that's just that box check that says, oh yeah, I'm a Christian. Like, 'cause, that's at least in in the Bible Belt of America, dating, pretty much everybody that I've asked. I'm not naive to say that everyone's a Christian, but everyone that I've pursued has been like, yeah, I'm a Christian. You're like, yeah, that's 'cause it's just kind of like what you do around here is go to church, like, or most people do, but obviously, we were both not truly walking with the Lord, because we allowed ourselves to knowing that it's wrong,
Yeah.
to still do it, and so for me, that's the big thing that I've noticed that's different, trading, trying to date and pursue someone that truly, at least in my judgment, has a good relationship for the Lord. That's something that's been a
Right.
big difference.
And it also says, and this is going to be a bombshell for some of y'all, that when you have sex with another, you become one with them. Your body joins together, you become one. Literally, if you think about it, sorry to put this image in your head, and spiritually, you become one with that person. And that's something that's created for you and your wife. And you become one.
Yeah.
You don't want to bring all this past stuff with
Baggage,
you.
yeah.
All this baggage with you.
Yeah, it's and to go on that, another point that I wanted to bring up is that something that the Lord has shown me is that I have to be a full, unbroken person to have to even pursue a good relationship. Meaning that, like, if I'm bringing baggage,
Yeah.
like in hurts, and obviously, there's no, you're not going to be fully healed from it, but you at least need to be in the healing process of it, of hurts and hang ups that we have in our lives that I was bringing and putting onto my relationships, that I was trying to find the answers, per se, in that person. Like, I was putting that person as my identity, we'll say it that way, instead of having my relationship with the Lord as first. Like, if the Lord has shown me that, I've always said that, I'm looking for a good, godly woman, and I want, that's who I want to settle down with and have kids with, and someone, I want to spend the rest of my life with. But if I was not living my life as a good, godly man, then I'm not the person that a good, godly woman is even
Yeah.
looking for. So that's not something that I'm even going to stumble upon. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Lord, has shown me, after my last relationship, I, took a little, we'll say, took a little hiatus from the whole dating
Sabbatical.
game. Yeah, because the Lord has put onto my heart that, hey, dude, like,
You need to fix yourself before
Yes.
you can't just.
Yeah.
A lot of people go into a relationship thinking they could fix the relationship or the person in the relationship, and I think that gets them in a lot of trouble.
Mhm.
And there's another thing that I like to mention for all you single people out there looking for somebody. People believe, and it's a common misconception, I believe, that people believe that love is like love at first sight, or those things are like, so real. There is a connection. Like, when I met my wife, we had such a strong connection, and we're both physically attracted to each other, so that's what brought us together. But love is more of a choice, and you'll find that out as you're married. In my case, 11 years now we've been married, and there becomes a point where love is that choice that you have to make. When it's like, let's just say you get a big bunch of money in, tax time or something, and especially early in our marriage, because we were so young, we'd make a lot of dumb decisions. I'd be like, I want to buy a boat, and my wife would say, I don't think that's smart, you know. And just me in that season, my life just wanted a boat so bad that I was like, I'm doing it. Well, what happened? My boat was so crappy it sank in the bottom of the lake, and we were just out that money. You know, it's a dumb decision, and you get in some disagreements and things like that, and you have to choose to love each other. You can't just call it quits when you're married. And as a single person looking for a potential godly woman or a spouse, because that's what it is, dating, as we said, you have to remind yourself of that love is a choice. And is this someone I want to choose to love every single day of my life? Does she have those personalities and characteristics that I'm looking for? And if she's a godly woman, she probably does.
Yeah, it's somebody that you turned me on to listening to is The Porch, and they have a whole series that
Did you check it out?
Yes, that you should have if you're listening
Fantasy
to this.
Marriage. What is the names of them? There's some good
The
ones.
one that I listened to yesterday was it's the 5 reasons why you shouldn't date. Was the title of the sermon. And it was, I found myself I guess identifying with, like, back when before the Lord said, hey, you need to stop and focus on me for a little bit. Like I was that person. Like all of these 5 things. Like he was like, okay, yep, you're definitely talking about Drew Gaddis right there. Like those were those 5 things that I wish I found that sermon earlier. But if you're listening to this, you should go listen. I forget the preacher's name who did it, so I'm sorry.
David Marvin.
Yes. So you should just go look up The Porch and their dating series, and it's great. But one of the things he says is that you should be looking for characteristics over desire. Like going back to what you just said, like, because in your marriage one day, obviously I don't have any basis to go off of that, but in your marriage one day, you're gonna, your hair's gonna change, your weight's gonna change a little bit, your hormones are gonna change a little bit, and like you're not gonna be the same stud of a person anymore that you were when you're younger. But the characteristics of your spouse, like their core characteristics,
Patient,
are not gonna change.
kindness.
Yes, because that's what's gonna carry you through your
The rest of your life.
through the rest of your life.
Everything is going to be kind of defined on their characteristics. It's going to be a point where you're both old and gray, and you're going to have to look at each other, and say, I still love you, because I love how patient you are. I love how kind you are. I love how caring you are. I love how you always put others first. And those things that beauty's going to shine through in that.
Yeah. And so that's, again, if you're listening to this and you're a single person and going through the same, same.
Don't fall for the trap, the hot dog of a girl in short shorts and
Yes.
not being modest. Look for that girl that's beautiful wearing, a sweater.
Yes.
Wearing
And 2,
jeans and a sweater in 80-degree heat.
There you go.
Yes. Jesus sweater at 80-degree heat. Yes, sir. And
She is the one you want.
Yes. And 2, just to sum it all up, that you want to be, if you're, I'm obviously a man, so I have experience from that. But if you're looking for a good godly woman, you want to make sure that you are what a good godly woman is looking for. Because
Yeah.
I was,
Yeah.
for the longest time I was not. Like, a good godly woman, is not looking for someone who's going out
Well,
and getting drunk on
and
the
that's
weekends.
exactly, like, that was some of the best advice I ever heard when I was entering my, like, latter years of college. Was it was like, don't okay, hold on. Yeah, don't become someone who's looking to date. Become the person that the person you're looking to date is looking to date.
There you go, because the purpose of you dating is marriage, and you want somebody that's going to be a partner that lifts you up, that helps you along in your faith journey. The whole reason we're here on this earth, Jesus said, is to spread the gospel, is to tell people the good news, and to be followers of Christ. And so if that's our whole purpose and our whole mission of our life, you need someone that's going to help you and support you. And I'm sure your wife, I can say my wife definitely does. She definitely builds me up and makes me a better person. Better spiritually, she helps me to grow and develop and to grow closer to the Lord every day.
Yeah.
And that's the point of what you want. So if you're single and you're dating and you're looking for somebody, ask yourself that question. Is she going to make me closer to Christ or further away? Is she going to help me grow spiritually, or is she going to kind of push me away? Ask that question first. As soon as you meet them, say, is this a girl that's going to really push me closer to God?
I think the other
If she is, look
the
into
other
it.
thing too with that, and this is for both dudes and gals, is missional dating is not a real thing. Like if you are a believer and you are wanting like the right person, never settle and never date somebody that isn't after the same things that you're after. Thinking that you'll change them, or it doesn't matter if they agree to go to church, or if that doesn't matter. If it's not somebody that is in a position to be equally yoked with you spiritually and challenge you and help you grow, and you know, if you are a woman, if it is not a man who at the point of marriage you would trust to lead your household spiritually, don't entertain him. And if you are a man, if she is a woman who you would not feel fit to lead her spiritually, or if she doesn't challenge you spiritually, then
introduce her to mama.
Then she's not worth your time. And
I mean,
I don't care how hot she is, man. Like, it doesn't matter.
yeah, 100%.
It's a good point. You know, and communication is such a key thing. You got to be able to communicate your desires. If you say you wanted to be a missionary, you want to go out and you want to travel the world and tell people about Jesus, and then you marry someone like Gaddis who wants to go to bed at 8:30, it's not going to work out. So you need to put it right up in the forefront and say, this is my heart's desire. I feel like God put in me. You know, and that'll cure a lot of the problems right off the bat. If they're like, well, I'm not like that. You know, I'm going out speaking to people about Jesus. I want to go to the grocery store and spend an hour talking to people at Publix.
Yeah. To what John said, you know, two broken people don't make a whole. Like, you know, two halves don't make a whole in this whole game. Like, you know, that's something that the Lord has shown me. Like I said earlier, it's, you know, you have to go in a place where you know, your relationship with the Lord is first and foremost. And you know, obviously we're imperfect people. Humans make mistakes. We all sin. There's no such thing as the perfect person. Like, you're never going to find the perfect person, because you're not a perfect person. But you don't need to be going in to a relationship trying to fill a void, which is something that I was trying to do. You know, trying to find joy through that person. Like, that whole person was my whole identity. That's not going through, coming from a good place where you need to start your dating. You have to come from a place that, in my experience, that, the Lord is first and foremost your need, your want, your goal. He's your sustenance. Like, it's not that this person is not going to fulfill you. Only the Lord can fulfill you. And, if they're not, coming from the same point that you are from that,
it's wasting your time.
Wasting your time. So we're running out of time right here. So we want to just have a few closing thoughts, if we have any, John.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. It's like, even outside of, and we didn't really get to talk about it too much, but in dating relationships pre-marriage, like, even if you exclude sex, like, there's a cornucopia full of other mistakes and other temptations that can arise and that can be made. And I know for me, like, one of the big mistakes I made was I got complacent. And if you're dating somebody and you truly love them and you want to keep Christ at the center, remember that your job is to love them as Christ loved the church. And that's not a love that grows complacent. That's not a love that dims or dulls just because things become routine, but that is a self-sacrificing, active, passionate love that may look different every single day. But your relationship is a ministry as much as it is a battleground for you spiritually. So be alert, be on guard.
It's a spiritual partnership.
Yeah. And I can say, there's nobody who has challenged me more in my life spiritually than my wife, but there's also nobody who has helped me draw as close to the Lord as my wife. And I think that's the way it should be.
100%.
I think I'd like to leave this for the men. If you're looking for a woman out there, look for a Proverbs 31 woman. Read that. Read all that, and pick out the little details of what a good godly woman is, because it explains it all. It's such a beautiful passage. My wife loves that. She reads it and she's like, that's her goal. That's who she wants to be. And she's awesome. She's doing great at it. And if you're a girl listening to this and you're looking for a man, look for a man that's bold and brave and that can lead you spiritually, that's not afraid to pray in public. They'll say, hey, let's pray. If they're not afraid to encourage you or not afraid to stand up for what's right, that's what you want in a man. I think if you look into both of those things, I think you'll be all right.
Yep. Just draw close to the Lord, and it will be the Lord's time. If you're single, like me, something we have to realize is that it'll be the Lord's time in the Lord's person that He'll have you to find. Like it won't be anything that you are gonna do. It's if the Lord wills it, it will happen. So we thank y'all for listening to another episode of the 1024 podcast. Stay tuned every Friday, and we'll have another episode for you next week. Thank you.
See y'all soon.
Bye.